Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Look Who's Cooking. My name is Jeremy Edwards, and today we're going to make a simple dish today, a slow roasted garlic, tomato, and red pepper shrimp spaghetti. Today we have a few simple ingredients that will make everything flavorful and is really easy to make. We have 2 large red bell peppers, we have a nice garlic clove, a whole lemon, a few thyme sprigs, some nice vine ripened tomatoes, salt, pepper, and olive oil. Now first, we want to preheat our oven so it's ready when it comes to the roasting process. Now first, we are going to take our red bell peppers and we're going to cut them into nice small pieces. First, we'll cut them in half, and you want to remove the rib and the seeds. So we're going to just put that to the side and just rip that out. You can also take a spoon or a knife or whatever utensil you have to get rid of them, but just simply tearing them out is fine. So we're going to do that. Just rip that out. Just knock out some of those. And when it comes to cutting, we're going to cut this right in half again. And we're going to take it and probably get a good 4 to 5 pieces out of this one. And we're going to save that and put it in our mixing bowl because we're going to season that later. Always remember, when cutting, make sure you get your hand properly held and hold your knife in a comfortable position because you don't want to cut yourself. And also you want to position your food in a way where it's not sliding or rolling all over the place. Have a good dry surface and a good firm grip. Now with this last pepper, we're just going to save, say about 1/4 of it because we're going to use it for garnishing later. Okay. Nope. Okay, now we can move on to our tomatoes. Now you're going to take about 5 to 8 tomatoes, depending on how big they are and depending on how much tomatoes you like in your dish. Now, normally 5 tomatoes should be sufficient, but it depends on how much you like tomatoes. And with this, we're going to cut these in quarters. So that being said, you want to roll your tomato on the side where the stem is because that's the flattest surface. And you want to aim your knife down at an angle and glide right through it. Your knife should be sharp enough to glide right through it. If not, always remember to sharpen your knives. And we're going to take those tomatoes and add them with our peppers. And also don't forget to take the stickers off of your produce as well. Those don't taste too well when it comes to the cooking process. Okay, now since we have our tomatoes quartered and ready to go, we're going to take our garlic and prepare our garlic. Now when it comes to garlic, you can either buy it jarred or in some type of container, whatever your preference is. Now with this recipe, it's asking for garlic sliced, so I chose to use fresh garlic. If you can find it whole in a jar and slice it that way, that's totally fine. And if you only have minced garlic or even garlic powder, you can still substitute with that and still season your vegetables accordingly. So with that, you're going to take your whole garlic and just peel off the garlic paper or the garlic skin and just discard of that. And there you should see the garlic cloves underneath of the garlic skin. Now with this, we're only going to need about 3 or 4 garlic cloves. I'm going to go with 4 because I do like garlic when it comes to flavor. We're going to take our 4 cloves. And with garlic, you're going to see it also has the paper on each individual garlic clove as well. Now the trick to peeling garlic, you can either get a garlic press, which you can find in most grocery stores, or just simply take your knife and smash your garlic. Once you hear that crunch, that paper just kind of peels itself off. And there you go. You have a nice garlic clove, skinned and peeled with ease. Now, when it comes to the garlic, we're just going to slice it. But I want to peel all my garlic first before I start slicing. And if you have any troubles getting the paper off, you can still kind of cut it to give yourself a little advantage to de-skinning and de-peeling the garlic. Okay. Now, once you have your garlic peeled and ready, you're just going to slice it. You kind of want to slice it as thin as possible, but if you can't slice it thin, it's okay because we're going to roast this garlic anyway. So remember to always make sure that you have your product lined up in an easy way that you can slice it, a firm grip on your product, and a nice steady cutting board, because remember, you don't want to cut yourself during this process. And just take your time. Remember to rock the knife back and forth. And if it's still too big for your liking, you can always go once over again with the knife and give it a smaller slice. And this is what you're looking for. And yes, you're going to add this right to your vegetables that you cut already. Let's get all our garlic. Let's move that paper out the way. Next, we're going to take our fresh thyme and we're just going to take the leaves off. We don't have to cut or mince or anything like that, or we're just going to pluck the leaves off that thyme. Now, thyme, if you've ever used it before, is very small and a very thin herb. So plucking individual leaves is kind of a tedious process. Now, some places you can find an actual device that strips the herbs off of these things, or you just simply hold it by the end and just run your fingers down until you get the leaves. Let's take it, let's try it again. Just take it and run your fingers down the opposite way that the leaves are growing, and it should pluck the leaves off. Now, if it breaks, that's fine. You can just do it the regular way and just pluck them individually. But you can just run your fingers down and you'll have the thyme sprigs that you need. Thyme smells amazing. It's a very versatile herb. You can use it for seafood, you can use it for fish, you can use it for chicken, beef, whatever you like, vegetables. When it comes to grilling, you can use it for kebabs. It's wonderful. You can make infused oils, vinegars, things of that nature. You can throw it just fresh on a salad, or even just use it as a simple garnish. Now with this, we're probably going to do maybe about a teaspoon and a half. So there's probably about 6 or 7, let's say about 7 or 8 thyme sprigs. But if you are a fan of thyme, you can always add as much thyme as you would like. Now, if you don't have fresh thyme or you can't find fresh thyme, if you have dry thyme, that's totally perfect. And if you just find, thyme that's already prepared for you, that's already been picked and things of that nature, that's totally fine as well. If all you have is powdered thyme or dried thyme, you can use those. Whatever substitutions that you have, you can use with no problem. I'm going to do about 2 more thyme sprigs, and then we can move on to the next step. All right, I think I have enough. Now with this, I think I will just chop it just a little bit, just so I'm not biting into an entire leaf of thyme. So with that, you want to just make sure your thyme is in a nice pile. Firmly press your hand on the top of the knife and just rock. Just to give it a nice chop. Always remember to scrape the knife because it tends to stick to the knife, and that's simply it. You can pick it up or just scrape, pick it up with your knife, add it to the rest of your vegetables. Next, the lemon. Now with the lemon, you're going to need the zest of the lemon or the skin. If you don't have a zester or things of that nature, you can either do one of several things. You can take a vegetable peeler and peel the skin and mince it with a knife or whatever device you have to chop up things like a food processor or things of that nature. Or you can just simply take a knife and peel it with a knife and do the same thing. Today I have a microplane or a nice zester where I can get a good fine zest on this. So that's what I'm going to use for this process. And this you're only going to need about a teaspoon of the lemon zest. And you're going to save the lemon because you're going to need the lemon juice for when it comes out of the oven. So I'm just going to take my zest and just do that right over top. Now this was going to add a lot of citrus flavor to it. The skin holds a lot of the oils of the fruit, so it's going to be very citrusy. It won't have the sweetness, but it's going to give that citrus taste and aroma. Give it a couple more passes. And also be careful when getting the zest. You don't want to get the white parts of the fruit because that part is very bitter. So you just want to get the surface of it, just the skin. So whether it's an orange or a lime or a lemon, be careful because you don't want to get too far in because that white part is very bitter and will affect the flavor of your food. Okay, and I think that's sufficient. Now we're going to take it, we're going to season it and oil it. And seasoning it, just simple salt and pepper, some kosher salt, and some cracked black pepper. Add about a teaspoon of that to your vegetables. And then just some extra virgin olive oil. This is the last part of our step. This is about a half a cup. I'm going to take a quarter cup of that, which is half, and apply it to our vegetables for the seasoning, and save the other half when it comes to finishing our dish. We'll take that over, spread that all over. Save the rest of that for later. And you just want to mix it so that every piece of vegetable has thyme and lemon and salt and pepper and garlic coated all on it. Actually toss it. There we go. I wish you can smell it because it smells amazing. Now, once that's fully coated, we're going to take it to our roasting pan and we're going to put it in our preheated oven for about an hour, hour and 30 minutes. It depends on how long the cook time is because it depends on how big you've cut your vegetables and also how powerful your oven is. So you want to kind of check it within that hour until everything is soft. So you want your peppers and your tomatoes to be soft to the touch. You want to just kind of spread that out evenly so everything has a chance to roast. Now, since you have everything in the pan, we're going to place this in our preheated oven at 325 degrees for about an hour, hour and a half. All right. It's hot. Oh, that smells amazing. Okay, now since this is roasted and it's soft, as you can see, we're going to add our shrimp to it. Now, this time around, instead of me using whole shrimp, I decided to dice my shrimp just because I like every bite of my pasta to have shrimp. So I'm still going to add about the same amount of pasta, about 2 pounds of shrimp to my pasta, sorry. We're going to add this right to our hot pan, and we're going to put this right back in the oven on the same temperature at 325 degrees for about 5 minutes, or until our shrimp is fully cooked. Now, since this shrimp is diced, it shouldn't take 5 minutes, and also depending on the size of your shrimp, it may take longer, it may take less time. Also, if you're using cooked shrimp, you don't have to worry about this process at the moment. I think that's about enough. I'm gonna add a little bit more shrimp, and we're gonna put this right back in our oven. Remember, 5 minutes, 325 degrees. Okay, now since we put our pan back in the oven, it's gonna take about 5 minutes. While that's cooking, we're gonna cook our pasta. We're just gonna take a standard spaghetti noodle that you can find at any grocery store, and we're gonna put it in salted boiling water. Oop, drop one. Okay. And we're going to let that boil. We're going to follow the instructions that's listed on the box. And over time, we're just going to check on it to make sure that it's fully submerged in water and it's tender and chewy to the bite. That should probably be about 5 minutes or so, the same time it takes for us to cook our rest of our vegetables. But it may take a little bit longer, but it's okay. While we're waiting, you want to get your other ingredients prepared and ready for when everything comes out. Because once this is finished, we're going to add everything to the pan, and we're going to add a few other things when it comes to the plating process. So while that's cooking, you want to make sure that you have some basil, fresh basil. If you don't have fresh basil, dried basil is sufficient enough. But with the fresh basil, what we're going to do is we're going to tear it, and we're going to use that as the garnish for the plate as well. We're going to take our pepper that we saved, and we're going to dice that, and we can do that while our pasta is cooking. We also have some arugula that we're going to add to our plate, and I just happen to have some spinach that I wanted to add to it as well, just to give myself a few more greens and vegetables. And we're going to add a little oil just to make sure that our pasta doesn't stick once it comes out, because the oil prevents our pasta from sticking. And not to mention, we need to add the juice from our lemon and some butter as well when it comes out. So let's prepare those things while we're waiting for our pasta and all those other things to cook. Okay, that's looking good. So I'm going to get my lemon ready. I'm just going to roll it and cut it in half, because at this point I'm going to juice it when it comes out. I'm going to save that for later. My butter, I'm going to actually do my pepper. My pepper, I'm going to dice this as well, because this is going to go on after we finish cooking everything together. So with this, I'm just going to dice it as small as possible. I'm going to cut it in strips. Remember to have a firm grip on it. Take your time. While everything is lined up, I'm just going to rock my knife on the peppers. And we're going to take this and we're going to sprinkle this onto our pasta once it's finished. Now, if you want to use a yellow pepper, green pepper, orange pepper, no, those are the choices you have, and it's totally fine. Remember, cooking, is all about your preference and what you enjoy. We're going to save this and push this to the side for when our pasta is finished. Use that for plating. And we're going to prepare our butter. Okay, now we're going to take a full stick of butter and we're going to dice it. We want to make sure we dice it just because it makes it easier when it comes to the melting process. So just get you a stick of butter, and that should be sufficient enough for this recipe. And with butter, you're going to use a salted butter. If you want to use unsalted butter, or even a margarine or lactose-free product, you can also use those as well. And remember, it's all about your preference. Okay. So now we have our butter ready, we have our peppers ready, we have our lemon ready, our basil ready. We're going to check on our shrimp and check on our pasta just to make sure everything is cooking in the way that it's supposed to go. Okay, pasta's looking good. Shrimp's looking good as well. We're going to give it a few more minutes and then we'll get right back to it. Okay. Wow, that looks amazing. Okay, now since our vegetables and shrimp are finished, we're going to add everything else to it. So now what we're going to do, we're going to add our 1 stick of butter to it while it's still hot. We're going to add some basil and just going to tear it. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're just going to take it, tear it, add that right to it. And just a few leaves of basil. Doesn't have to be a lot. Whatever your preference is. Basil is amazing flavor and aroma, so I love it. I'm just going to add a decent amount to it. Make sure you don't get the stems. Just get that stem out of there. Add some more basil. I don't want to hurry and do this because you don't want the temperature to cool down. Now we're going to add our lemon juice from the lemon that we zested earlier. And I'm doing this to catch the seeds, because I don't want the seeds to end up in this and someone biting into it. That would be awful. Okay, now we're going to take the pasta that we cooked and drained and we're going to add it straight to our vegetables. Now, as you can see, the pasta is a little sticky. To prevent the sticking, you want to add oil, butter, or some type of fatty, it's hot, some type of fatty thing to this. So I'm going to add a little bit extra olive oil to it, even though I already have butter. But this will prevent it from sticking. Plus the olive oil that we've used earlier to cook should still be there. And now we're going to take our pasta and mix it with our tomatoes and our peppers. At this point, the tomatoes should be soft enough where they should break apart. The peppers, they'll keep their shape, but they'll still be very tender. We have a basil, we have a thyme, we have the lemon zest, plus the lemon juice that we've added. We want to mix this. And now we're going to start plating. We get a plate. Now, when it comes to the plating, we're going to now add our fresh vegetables, our arugula and our spinach. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to take some of the pasta. It's hot. We'll get some of the tomato and the shrimp with the basil. Get some more shrimp. Just going to take some spinach and some arugula. And then we're going to top it with some of the diced peppers that we have. Add a little bit more shrimp to it. I love shrimp, gotta have some more shrimp. And some of the liquid pasta. And there you have it. You have a lovely roasted red pepper, tomato, and garlic shrimp pasta. This is easy and a delicious meal for a lovely date night with you and your special someone. I want to thank you for joining me for Look Who's Cooking. My name is Jeremy Edwards, and I'll see you again soon.